Hello everyone, good morning. Welcome back to the teachings on the chapter of wisdom from the renowned text, A Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life, written by the Bodhisattva Shantideva and generously given to us by Geshe, Dorji, Damdul. Just a quick reminder to open your camera if possible and to switch off your microphones unless given permission to speak. I will also post shortly on the chat the links to donations and the DFI, Dharma Friends of Israel's website and YouTube channel. Before we begin, Tibet House would like to announce a message. What I would like to say to Geshe and to Tibet House, thank you very, very much for your generosity and kindness. And I hope that these teachings will benefit us all. And now I give the permission to Tibet House. Thank you.
Thank you, Tomla, for giving me this opportunity. And hello, everyone. My name is Tenzin Dhamma. I'm Program Coordinator of Tibet House. And I, on behalf of Tibet House, welcome you all for this program, The Guide to the Bodhisattva Way of Life, Chapter 9, Wisdom Chapter. So I won't take much time. And first, I would like to request rest of the people who have not opened their videos, kindly keep your video on. We would have an interactive session with Geshe Damdul, our director of Tibet House. And I would like to make up one announcement, which is quite very important, that Tibet House, we have introduced Nalinda Diploma Course Batch 3 on Buddhist philosophy in 2018. The first and second batch has successfully graduated, and more than 1,200 participants from 44 countries across the world have benefited from these two batches of Nalinda Diploma course. So this year, it's a great opportunity that we have announced the third batch of Nalinda Diploma course, and the registration is still open and the classes has already started. It started on 1st of August, and the registration will remain till 15 September. Due to the overwhelming participants from across the countries, that we have extended the registration. Therefore, we have kept the registration till 15th of September. So it is a 10th-month course, which will be taught in English language. And we provide 75% scholarship or a concession to monastics and students, while participants from Nalinda Diploma Course 1 and Diploma Course 2 and Nalinda Master's Course, which is a 5 years course, can only avail 50% scholarship for the course fee. And I will share the registration link and the detail in the chat box, and please feel free to register. And if you're confused with my announcement, please mail me at pc@tibethouse.in. I'll repeat, pc@tibethouse.in. And it's a huge opportunity that this time, if you could able to join for the Nalinda Diploma Course Batch 3, which only Nalinda Diploma Course participants can able to avail to participate in Nalinda Master's Course Batch 2. Therefore, please feel free to join. And thank you, Tamla, and please continue. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay. Good morning, all of you. Good morning, Shahala and Tomla, Leorala, Gilala, and Charlie from Singapore. Yes. Okay. And Vardala. Okay. And Novitla, Venerable Yakila, all of you. Yeah. Okay. So this is the second session for the second course on the same text, Guide to Bodhisattva's Way of Life, Chapter 9. And I request Tom to kindly do the screen sharing of the prayers. And as we learn this psychology, Buddhist psychology. Usually I don't really like to say Buddhist psychology. It's a psychology. It's nothing to do with Buddhism or other religion. It's about psychology, how your mind works. When you learn, when you observe inwardly more about one's own mind, we come to realize that finally say how we see that we are actually looking for two things. All of us, whether you're a girl, the males or females, or whether you are say from this country or that country, or this age, that age, that status, this status, we all crave for two things. One is that somehow we have tension, stress inside. We need to let go, de-stress ourselves, number one. Number two, that sometimes we feel the joy and happiness. Say you help somebody, you console somebody who is who's going through a tough time, and you console somebody, and the person's face starts to glow because of your listening to the person, consoling person, and then you see the glow, you see a sense of accomplishment, sense of ease within you, the joy, your mind expands. One is that the stress that you have, you want to distress it, number one. Number two, that the joy, the ease that you feel, you want to expand it. So this is what everybody craves to have. And say in technical terms, this distressing yourself, the ultimate state of the distressing yourself is known as Nirvana. This is a technical term. The meaning is where you are free from all fears of life, all stress of life, number one. Then the other part where you expand the circle of your the ease. That ease, the ultimate state of this ease is known as Buddhahood. Technically speaking, this is known as Buddhahood, and this is what we all are seeking. And we see that these are all doable. It's not that, once in the past, many centuries ago, many millennia ago, some saints did it. No, it's doable. We can do it in various degrees. We can keep improving. So the first one is how to distress us by, say, the staying away from negative thoughts. Believe it or not, as you stay away from negative thoughts, your mind distresses. This is incredibly a great secret of one's mind. Then to expand this ease of mind, just cultivate this love. Keep expanding your love and affection towards others. Your happiness increases, it expands. These are the two simple and the tricks of our mind. So with this mind, and how to do them very successfully is through the wisdom. So this wisdom is required to make sure that these two things happen very successfully. So with this mind, what we are reading here is all about the distressing yourself and expanding the ease of your mind. For that matter, we need good examples. We need role models. For example, in the university systems, we talk about role models. So we need role models, and the best of the role models are the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in this context. So let us visualize all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in the space in front of you, particularly Buddha Shakyamuni, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, in your mind, in the space in front of you, showering upon you with so much love and affection and embracing you. Just let us take a few seconds to reflect on this. And next, to expand the circle of your love and the ease, think of your two parents on your two sides, and likewise all your family members, including your children, and all other dear sentient beings living on the other side. And imagine that you are the mother of only child, and all the beings are your own children. And imagine that you are showering love, affection, attention, embrace to each one of them, to the extent that each one of them feels themselves as so special in your eyes. And the purpose of this practice, this study, is to understand the broader reality of life, the interdependency, and the deeper reality of life, with the emptiness. With this mind, with the sheer desire to become liberated, to become Buddha yourself, to benefit all beings. Imagine that you are leading this and all beings are joining you in this recitation to invoke the spirit of enlightenment, to invoke the spirit of non-harming others and the embracing will of affection towards others. And teach by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. And teach by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. And teach by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations to the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations to the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations to the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Sanje joda zoge chonam la chanjo bardo dane gyalsu che dage jinso kebe chonam dola benjere sanje rubare sho sanje joda zoge chonam la chanjo bardo dane gyalsu che dage jinso kebe chonam ge dola benjere sanje rubare sho Sanje joda zoge chonam la chanjo bardo dane gyapsu che dage jinso gebe sonam gi chola benjere sanje rubare sho. Independent origination. There is no ceasing, no arising, no annihilation, no permanence, no coming, no going, no separateness, and no sameness. I prostrate to the consummate Buddha, the supreme among all teachers, the one who taught this peace, which is free of elaborations. I prostrate to the mothers of the hearers, the Bodhisattvas and the Buddhas, who through the knowledge of all lead hearers seeking pacific complete peace, who through the knowledge of paths cause those helping migrators to achieve the aims of the world, and who through the possession of omniscience help subduers expound the varieties of teachings. The one who has transformed into the reliable guide, motivated by altruism to benefit sentient beings, the teacher, Sugata and protector, to you are my prostrations. The one who has eliminated the web of conceptualizations and is endowed with the divine bodies of the vast and the profound, who eternally shines forth the forever noble light rays, to you the Buddha I make prostrations. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mindful awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. Okay, we'll recite this together. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum desham tathagato yavatat desham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum tesham tathagato yavatat desham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhava hetum tesham tathagato yavatat desham chayo nirodha Evam Vati Mahashramanaya Swaha. Meaning of this mantra: all phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata. The cessation of the causes as well is taught by the great seer. Profound, peaceful, elaboration-free, clear-lighted, non-composite. Such is the nectar-like dharma I have discovered. Finding no one who can fathom this teaching, in silence I'll return to the woods. Beyond our trends, thought and expression is the perfection of wisdom, which is unborn, unceased, and has the nature of space, is the object of apprehension of self-realized wisdom. To you, the mother of the Buddhas of the three times of your obeisance. The four seals of the Buddhist teachings: all composite things are impermanent. All contaminated things are the nature of suffering. All phenomena are the nature of emptiness and selflessness. Transcending sorrow is peace. The Guru is the Buddha, the Guru is the Dharma, likewise the Guru is the Sangha. The Guru is the source of everything wholesome. I go for refuge in the Guru. By the sound of the vibrant drum of Dharma, you liberate all beings of miseries. I beseech you to kindly remain and give teachings until the end of the expanse of billions of eons. The Buddha does not watch the negativities of beings, nor does he remove the miseries by his hands. His spiritual realizations are not transferred to them. It is by teaching the truth of the suchness that the beings are liberated. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered miseries gloom. If you are attached to this life, you are not a spiritual practitioner. If you are attached to samsara, you have no renunciation. If you are attached to your own self-interest, you have no bodhicitta. If there is grasping, you do not have the view. Okay, Heart Sutra mantra. Okay, yes, good, thank you. Yeah. Yes. Okay, we'll take the aspiration Bodhisattva out. If you can, yes. What we do is that we will take a few seconds to invoke the spirit. May I become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings, and the mind which allows you to expand your ease, your happiness infinitely is known as a bodhicitta, the wish to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. So this is the highest degree of compassion, highest degree of loving kindness. And let us invoke the spirit. Although it can be very superficial at the moment, it doesn't matter. This is how we have to practice. When we practice music, we can't expect music coming out the day when you're practicing it. You just mimic what your teacher teaches you, and you mimic it. No music comes out. You press the buttons, you press the keys of the keyboard, one bone, no music comes out. Over time, gradually the music starts to come up because that's a practice. Likewise, although it can be very superficial as of now, we just keep doing it, and while expanding the knowledge, more extensive knowledge, reflection and meditation of the wisdom and of the compassion, over time this will become a living reality within you. So let us invoke the spirit. May I become Buddha to benefit all the dear mother sentient beings. Let us take a few seconds. Okay, with this aspiration, we'll recite this verse 3 times. Imagine that you are leading this recitation and all the sentient beings are joining you, including 2 parents, your children, all the family members, and all sentient beings. I go for refuge to the Triple Gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddhahood in my heart. I go for refuge to the Triple Gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious brotherhood in my heart. I go for refuge to the triple gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious brotherhood in my heart. I go for refuge to the triple gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious brotherhood in my heart. Gurus, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas, please pay heed to me. Just as the previous Buddhas have generated the mind of Bodhicitta, just as they successfully dwelled in the Bodhisattva practices, likewise for the benefit of all sentient beings, I will generate the mind of Bodhicitta, and likewise shall I too successfully follow the Bodhisattva practices. Gurus, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas, please pay heed to me. Just as the previous Buddhas have generated the mind of Bodhicitta, just as they successfully dwelled in the Bodhisattva practices, likewise for the benefit of all sentient beings, I will generate the mind of Bodhicitta, and likewise shall I too successfully follow the Bodhisattva practices. Gurus, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas, please pay heed to me. Just as the previous Buddhas have generated the mind of Bodhicitta, and just as they successfully dwelled in the Bodhisattva practices, likewise for the benefit of all sentient beings, I will generate the mind of Bodhicitta, and likewise shall I too successfully follow the Bodhisattva practices. Okay, hearts to the mantra. Thank you. This mantra, as we recite this mantra, just this should be like a mirror, a reminder for us whether or not I am actually being wise in ways of getting rid of my fears, and in ways of expanding the circle of happiness. So this is the journey. Gade para samgade bodhi swaham. Go beyond, go utterly beyond, and establish your enlightenment. So you serve as the measure to see whether I am in a proper track, whether I'm progressing. As long as there's a progress happening within you, within us, you are doing your job. So with this mind, imagine that you are leading this recitation and all beings are with you, reciting it eager to undertake this journey of cleansing the mind of the mental defilement to get to the ultimate happiness. Eata om gade paragade parasamgate bodhiswatyatha om gate paragate parasamgate bodhiswatyatha om gate paragate parasamgate bodhiswatyatha om gate paragate parasamgate bodhiswaha. Okay. The study of the emptiness which we are doing now, the study of emptiness which we are doing now, what's the benefit of this question? And just imagine that can we imagine that the experience of sadness, happiness, tension, or the ease, confidence, they're all determined by what you perceive, your perception. Your perception has effect in your mind to how the mind instinctively behaves on the basis of the perception. And as long as the perception, as long as you have the perception, what do you have? Since you can remember from this life, since you were age In some cases, people can remember since age 3, and some mostly can remember since age 6, 7, and some can age 5. From that time till now, you have a set of perception, and on that basis, a set of the mindset, emotional reactions, and then emotional reactions in the form of, say, the stress, or in the form of ease, in the form of, say, the very sophisticated ways of the emotional states we can have. Now, on the overall speaking, from the time you can remember in this life till now, what is, if you are to give the grade and the prospect of the future emotional events that you are to encounter with, like, the loss of near and dear ones, anytime it can happen, or something, for example, you wake up and this is what happens to many people. You wake up and you discover that you don't have, you just feel discomfort in breathing, or something is there, and then you go to check up and it's cancer. So these things happen. It's not that I'm saying something inauspicious, but this is the reality. So the point is that, and these are all, and who can sign, who can give me give the signature saying that, oh, this will not happen to me in this life? No one. In fact, for the COVID, for example, let's see that even all the smart people, including the Pope Francis, include all these people, and His Holiness the Dalai Lama, all these smart people, who have been revered to bless us, they all got the injection. You're getting it? So what I'm saying is that we never know when these unfortunate things will happen to us. So because of which, if you overall speaking, if you look at all these things overall, to take the overall picture, and then, okay, these all experiences are related to my perceptions. And overall, the emotional states. Are you satisfied with this? Are you happy with this? And if this is how it continues in the future lifetimes, would you be happy? Or, oh no, I'm not happy. So there, one moment of such a tragedy is good enough to nullify all the past experiences of stress, anxiety. No, sorry. Say one moment of anxiety is good enough to nullify all the experiences of the merriments, festivities, birthday celebrations, and so forth. One moment of tragedy is good enough for us, like the loss of near and dear ones, and then one diagnosed with cancer. So that is just one moment is good enough. And if this story is to be repeated life after life, are you happy? Not happy. So those people, who are those people? The mature people, wise people. Wise people, mature people are those people who can say, they see things far away in time, who can see things in far away in space, who can see only things nearby in time and space. These are known as immature people. In the Buddhist texts, often you see the reference made as small children, childlike people. And those who can see beyond, far away in time and space, these are known as mature, civilized, cultured, and wise people. So with this in mind, they say, if this is what we dislike, overall speaking, today, when you're having ice cream, you're happy. When you are, your son, your daughter are very young, well, not 16 years old, 17 years old. 16, 17 is very complicated. They say young one, age 5, 6, 7, they give you a hug. It's such a moment of joy. And then this child who's going to give you a hug and will give you such a joy to you when age 4, 5, 6, so cute. Eventually we'll reach age 16. Very complicated. And then this hug is going to be very complicated. Okay, so what I'm saying that this is how it works. How it works. Okay, are you happy? Are you not happy? If this, the whole picture, given a whole picture of just that tiny moment of enjoying ice cream or get together, family get together, talk nice things, and then facing the reality of life. Overall speaking, are you happy with this or not? If you're not happy, then what we are doing, we are doing things, for example, this class, we are meant to bring about, look for ways and means to change it, that this unhappy state should stop. So this is what we're expecting. Now the point is that these experiences of happiness, unhappiness, satisfaction, dissatisfaction, whatever, they're all determined by a set of the perceptions. And if we cannot change the perceptions, Einstein said one thing: you do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, it will never happen. Let's not forget it. You do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. It will never happen. So if you want a different result, you have to look for alternative approach. Likewise, if we want a dramatically different result, like to cut this anxiety, stress altogether, then we have to change the perception altogether. This perception must be changed altogether. If you maintain this perception all the time, by maintaining this perception all the time, then the outcome is going to be the same. Emotional outcome is going to be the same all the time. We can't really expect a different outcome of the emotional states. So therefore, the point is that, just imagine that you go to Mount Kailash for a pilgrimage, expecting that it's very beautiful, the spectacular, the spick and speck, the clean white snow there, and you put on the goggles to save you from the glare. And the goggle happens to be very unclean. It's not clean goggles. You are unaware of that. You go there, you see this Mount Kailash very dirty. And you start complaining, oh, this is a dirty Mount Kailash. I was expecting it's very beautiful. It's not at all beautiful, it's very dirty. Okay. Whereas another person comes and, wow, this amazing Mount Kailash is so beautiful, it's so clean. What's the difference? Not that the Mount Kailash is dirty. The lens that you are putting on, that is dirty. That is unclean. That is not of quality. Whereas the other person look at the same Mount Kailash with a high quality lens made in Japan or maybe made in Israel. There you see the Mount Kailash so clean, pure. So what the world is, and then you enjoy it. So your emotional reaction is buoyancy, such a joy there to see this, because your perception is very different. Whereas for the other person, this joy is not there because the perception is very dirty perception. And we are looking at this world from the lens of a defiled mind. Lens with a particular set of perception which is very defiled. So with this, what we're going to see is bound to be dirty, bound to be imperfect. This is a perception that we're going to have. With this perception, how can we expect expanding joy? How can I expect to get rid of our miseries? So with this mind, the next question is how to cleanse the lens of your mind, how to clean the lens of your own mind so that what you perceive is going to be very clean. That's the point. So with this in mind, what we're studying here is that what we are seeing, if you believe them as real, then your perception is maintained. You don't take steps to change the perception, without which your emotional states cannot be changed. Then the miseries we have to stay with the miseries. There's no way by which you can get rid of them. Okay, if you really want to get rid of these miseries, then we have to is the time for us to change the perception, change the approach to expect a change in the result. So for that matter, what we're doing is a very important thing here. Try to see how what we are seeing is not the reality, and to bring about a drastic change, a dramatic change in the perception of the world. So we are on page stanza 73, continuation from yesterday. Okay, so of course to change this the perception is not that easy, because the perception that we already have, it is not from 1 year ago. It is from many lifetimes. In fact, like since time immemorial, since the beginningless time, we inherited this perception. It is like a chronic within us. So to undo this is not easy. So we require these very powerful measures, very powerful the studies of the wisdom taught by the brilliant masters such as the Buddha Shakyamuni, Nagarjuna, Arideva, Acharya Chandrakirti, Bodhisattva Shantideva, and so forth. Okay, and we are very fortunate that His Holiness the Dalai Lama gives teachings on emptiness so often. So we make it a point that we attend those the classes. And although His Holiness, of course, will not go into these teachings word to word, but the gist that His Holiness renders to us, this is extremely precious. It's like a gem. It's like the elixir. So we don't miss to take those teachings from His Holiness. Okay. So now, stanza 73. Now, what is said is that finally our mind, the lens of this mind should be changed. The lens of this mind, very dirty lens of the mind, must be changed to make it clean. And in other words, to see the emptiness of the mind. We should be able to see the emptiness of the mind, emptiness of the flower, emptiness of the body, emptiness of the people you interact with, emptiness of the situations that you interact with, and emptiness of the self, and the emptiness of the mind. So in the various texts by the great masters from all the traditions, seeing the emptiness of the mind is seen as the most powerful wisdom, most powerful wisdom of the emptiness, the wisdom to see the emptiness. So here 73 is talking about the emptiness of mind. So even this mind, the manner in which we see, how does it appear to us? Like objective real or like a dream? And we see and of course, seeing the emptiness of mind is quite scary. And in contrast, we're seeing the emptiness of yourself, emptiness of the flower, emptiness of your body, and as opposed to seeing the emptiness of other things, seeing the emptiness of mind is even more scary, because that we since time immemorial, we have been clinging on to objective existence. This is our chronic illness, and we always need something to hold on to as objective reality. And of this holding, the ultimate holding on to objectification is the objectification of the mind. When you dissolve this, then you are left with nothing to hold on to as objective real. And it's very scary, as though like you are just dropped in the middle of the ocean, where you're left with nothing to hold on to save your life. But in actuality, that is the ultimate rescue from samsara. Okay, so 73. For the past and the future minds are not the self, since they do not exist presently. Say the self. When you identify what the self is, the manner in which the non-Buddhist approach, the non-Buddhist believe the self to be permanent, unitary, independent, which is different from the body and mind. After rejecting this, then you turn towards the body and the mind. In other words, the 5 aggregates. Turning towards the 5 aggregates, and then they say, okay, my body, for example, my lungs. No, we can, let's say if there's a little tumor in my lungs, we can cut the lungs. And the kidney transplant can happen. The heart transplant can happen, which means these are not the self. Of course, the body is not the self. Then what about the mind? Well, yes, the mind is the self. So people need something to hold on to as objectively real. So first, the non-Buddhist traditions, they were holding on to some very independent self, permanent independent self, as objectively real out there as a self. Now, when that is discarded, then people turn towards the insight, to the five aggregates, and then they seeing that a direct contradiction in accepting the body to be the self, then they go towards the mind. They hold on the mind as objectively to be the self to identify, the mind to be identified as the self. In other words, the self is identified with the mind. So there, Bodhisattva was saying that no, that is not true. That's not true. Okay, let us. This is what I'm sure I did it in the last years of the course which we did with the Israel, the Dhamma Friends for Israel, and a simple example that I'll give you here with the mind is that when we feel stressed, okay, let's say so person A. So how our mind builds up the stress. Let's say a simple example of the person A, and he is very unkind to me, and now he is my colleague. He joins my company. Okay, then your stress builds up. How many agree with me, raise hands? If this is the situation, very good. This is how the stress builds up in your mind. Okay, Mr. A, he's unkind towards me. He is being judgmental towards me. Now, I learned that yesterday, he joined my company. Now we become colleagues. Oh no, this is how the stress builds up in your mind. Okay, who is talking? All these series of talks. Mr. A is unkind to me. He's being judgmental of me. He's joined the company. Now he's my colleague. Who is talking? My mind is talking. How many agree, raise hands? My mind is talking means my mind is thinking like this. Okay. Now, when your mind thinks like this, you see your mind as so solidified there. Now let us do a little bit of exercise. And to see that this is very deceptive. And to your amazement, you will see that yes, this is deceptive. But at the same time, our chronic illness cannot be removed simply by this wonder, the amazement that is deceptive. Still, this cannot really get rid of our chronic illness, of the belief, of the stress right away. It'll take time because the tendency for us to build up the stress, this is very chronic for many lifetimes. It's not about 1 minute meditation. Okay. So when you say that let's say that the example that I give is that, let's say that in Tel Aviv, the Shahala organized the program. We're together, and then to celebrate the birthday of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Then Shahala assigned each one of us with the responsibilities, works, and he's usually very kind. But this time, because of his own anxiety or stress, he forgot to give us food. He forgot to give us juice. Right? He makes us work so hard. And no juice, no food. And the weather was very hot. And you feel so tired, hungry. And then you said, Shahala, no juice, no food. Oh yeah, but I forgot, I'm very sorry. So meanwhile, you also notice a box there. There's a small house there, maybe a shelter there. And then from the shelter, you can hear some sound. From the sound, you can make out that there are some people there. And we feel so hungry, thirsty, but some people are there who did not come out at all, and these people also must be very thirsty and hungry. And you knock at the door, how are you? Okay, so let's say Yakila, Shahala, Aki, then the Milinji, Niraji, okay, and the Inbal, Shahala, I, no, the Yakila, I, Shahala, M, Akila, Ve, then Milinla, Ri, Nirajla, An, then Inbal, Ha, and then the Ben, P. Okay, so you knock at the door and ask, how are you? So the answer comes. Okay, okay, begin. Yakila. Okay, so this is not going to be that effective because every time we have to unmute. So let's say then one person says I, second person said am, third person said where, fourth person said re, fifth person said on, sixth person said ha, and then the last person said be. What did you hear? I am very unhappy. What did you hear? I'm very unhappy. You feel so hungry yourself, so tired, exhausted yourself. Oh, the person inside must be also very hungry and tired. And then you open the door and you see 7 people inside. You feel so sympathetic. You ask, I'm sorry that you are very hungry, you are very thirsty, you are very tired. And then the person that the Yakila said, no, I'm very happy. Who said that you said it. I'm very unhappy. You said it. He said, no, I just said I. I'm so happy with myself. So I said I. And the other person said, the Shahala said, you must be the one who said I'm very unhappy. No, I said just am. And then Akila, there. Then Milinla, re. Then Nirajla, on. And then the who? The Inbala, ha. And then the other person, the Ben, P. I said P, that's it. Right? I didn't say anything. Who said I'm unhappy? I just said P. Is very interesting. P. Okay. Oh, I must be hallucinating. Then I must have hallucinated. Everybody seemed to be so happy inside this shelter. So I must be hallucinating. And then you call the Gilala. Gilala, please come. Again, you knock at the door. Are you happy? Gilala, please be my witness. Be witness to to see what you are hearing. How are you? Again, the inside from inside said, I am very unhappy. Gilala, what did you hear? Yes, somebody said I'm very unhappy. I also heard it. This means I was not hallucinating. No. This says, and you got inside again. Nobody said I'm very unhappy. Everyone is very happy inside. Okay. Now, from this, what we realize is that all the 7 people, they said 7 different words or 7 different syllables, and you are the one. Your ignorance is the one which combines all these 7 words together, and then you create a concept. Oh, somebody said I'm very unhappy. And your emotion stirs inside. Okay. So when you said that, okay, Mr. A is being unkind to me. Mr. A is being judgmental of me. Now Mr. A has joined my company. Now he has become my colleague. When you say, who's saying this? Your mind is saying this. Like these 7 different people saying 7 different words, your mind is saying these words. The first moment of the mind, the mind is made of the moments. First moment, second moment, third moment, fourth moment. The first moment said, Mr. A. Then the second moment said, is. Third moment said, where. Fourth moment said, re. Then fifth moment said, on. Then the sixth one said, kind. Seventh one said, to. And the eighth said, me. Mr. A is very unkind to me. Okay, So these are the 8 moments of your mind. And the first moment of the mind said, Mr. A. Mr. A, and the first moment left. Then the second moment came. First moment is gone. And when the second moment came, the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, they are yet to come. The first is gone. What is really your experience is just is. That's it. Mr. A is very unkind. Is. That's it. This is what you're experiencing. And the third moment, Mr. A, the moment we said Mr. A is they are all gone. Third moment, where? Or let's say very. Very. That's it. And the remaining moment of minds are yet to come, yet to arise. Elements are gone. You are saying very. And very doesn't mean anything. Very, when you say very, it should not stress you in any ways. It can be very good. Very good. Very nice. Very helpful. Very per se does not mean anything. Then the other one is unkind. Unkind also does not mean anything. Oh, he is not unkind. He is not unkind is very positive. So the unkind per se does not mean anything. And to me, it does not mean anything. So we see that there are 8 moments of the mind which convey something which in themselves do not mean anything. And yet your mind, your ignorant mind, combines all these moments together and put them as a structure. Okay? Oh, Mr. A is very unkind towards me. You put them together and then it stresses you. And nobody else puts that together. You did it. Okay, so this is, if you can do this exercise, if you do this exercise on a daily basis, this is very, very healing. And on top of that, what I would suggest is that as you do this exercise, and then you are bound to come across the nuances of the thought process, nuances. And the nuances, okay, that's good, but there, there's this nuanced way of thinking. How would you resolve that? So these things will come only when you start meditating on this. And feel free to bring them up to me. I'll be very happy. Okay. So with this, what we are seeing is that stanza 73. Stanza 73, screen sharing. The past and the future mind. The past minds, let's say that, oh, he is very unkind to Mr. A is very unkind to me. When you said Mr. A is very, when you say very, the first moments of mind, they are past. Mr. A is, they're all past. Past is gone. And very, when you say very, then unkind, that is yet to come, that's the future. Future is yet to come. The past and the future minds are not the self because they do not exist presently. They do not, because the self exists presently, the past moment is gone. The future moment is yet to come. So they are not the self, whereas the self exists at the present moment. If it is a self, it should exist as a present moment. And if the mind presently arising with the self, if you say that, no, it doesn't matter. This mind, the present moment of the mind is the self. When it perishes, there would in fact be no self. So even this present mind will become past. When you say very, then the next you say unkind. When you say unkind, what was earlier the present, which was the mind we said very, will become past. So then this self should perish. So that is with respect to believing in the self as objectively real, as objective. If you believe in the self to be objectively real, then if you identify the present moment as a self, that should be the self, not others. When that is gone, the self should be gone. Okay, 74. For example, when the trunk of the plantain tree is split apart, nothing is found. So what is the self? Objectively, as we discussed yesterday, if the self does exist objectively, then you should be able to, you should go to explore the self by going closer to the object. The mind which goes closer to this object is known as the ultimate analysis. And what we said is that in the ultimate analysis, with the ultimate analysis, nothing will be found. It is like what is said here, 74. For example, when the trunk of a plantain tree, which looks so strong from outside, you just cut it into pieces, you see the inside is just hollow. There's nothing there with any essence. It's split apart, nothing is found. Likewise, when sought through investigation, the ultimate analysis, a self also cannot be found as an absolute reality, as objectively real. Nothing is there to be found as a self. And those of us who were present in the last course, we did the 4 essentials. So bring those 4 essentials, and you see that the object is empty of being one with its parts and empty of being different from its parts. Okay, never mind. Those who are new, don't worry. 75. Suppose you ask, if sentient beings do not exist, towards whom could one generate compassion? Okay, this is a very profound discussion. I'm going to explain in a very simple form, but people who are the more exposed to emptiness and more they're exposed to the study of the emptiness wisdom, I would suggest you to take it more seriously. And those who are new, don't worry. It is a little technical. Don't worry about it. I'm going to explain it in as simple way as possible. 75. Suppose you ask, if sentient beings do not exist, if objectively there's no sentient being there, it's all just what your mind imputes, then towards whom could one generate compassion? So your anger subsides, fine, it's just your mental projection like a dream. Then your compassion will also subside. So say, how would you practice compassion if you see the sentient beings as projected by your mind? Okay, towards whom could one generate compassion? This is a very serious question, which Bodhisattva Shantideva rhetorically picked up to clear this the doubt. If you don't clear this doubt, then at times as you grow in your the analysis, you're bound to come up with the encounter with this question. Or otherwise, some other people may ask this question to you and you get stuck. So therefore, Bodhisattva Shantideva, he brought this up and he gave the response. Towards whom could one generate compassion? For this, what we need to know is that illusion and illusion-like, dream and dream-like, everything is not dream, everything is dream-like. So what's the difference between the dream and the dream-like? In dream, the cause and effect is not infallibly followed. The cause and effect is the causal relationship is not necessarily infallible or should be precisely following. Whereas in the dreamlike nature, the cause and effect must invariably follow, or the cause and effect must efficaciously be following. So it's not that sentient beings are non-existent. Sentient beings are there. They don't exist objectively. The cause and effect is operating. Your compassion can help others. Your compassion, you can grow in your mental dirts can be cleansed and the beings can be benefited. So this cause and effect is operating within the domain of the illusion-like, within the domain of the dream-like, not in the dream. In the dream, you may be kind towards others, and then your kindness. For example, let's say that I pick up this flower, and suddenly this flower can become like a car in the dream. But in the dream-like functional world, conventional world, this flower will remain a flower. Although this is dream-like, but this will remain as a flower. It will not become a car. So this the cause and effect, the efficacy is there, is followed in the dream-like nature, not in the dream. So therefore, we are not to confused between the dream and the dream-like. So the sentient beings, compassion, all these things are that we are talking about is in the domain of the dream-like, not in the dream. Okay, towards whom could one generate compassion? Well, the objects of compassion are those beings accepted as existing, for whom one cultivates the desire to achieve the resultant state of enlightenment. So let's not forget those two questions. Do things exist? Does compassion exist? Do the sentient beings exist who deserve compassion? Yes, they do exist. If you say no, they don't exist, they fall into nihilism. So the person who asks this question, is the one who equates, existence, and objective existence. When you say there's no objective existence, then they say it's non-existent. So non-existent means then your compassion is totally meaningless, because there's no sentient beings, because sentient beings don't exist objectively. But whereas those who are able to see the nuance between these two, the nuance between objective existence and existence, sentient beings do exist. They don't exist objectively. When you're able to see this nuanced insight, then this question will be resolved. Suppose we ask, if sentient beings do not exist, towards whom could one generate compassion? This is a question asked by the advocates of objective existence. Bodhisattva Shantideva responds, well, the objects of compassion are those beings, those sentient beings accepted as existing, for whom we can cultivate the desire to achieve the resultant state of enlightenment, and who are imputed by ignorance. And of course, these sentient beings, they exist, but they exist subjectively. Subjectively means they exist by your mental imputation. And mental imputation is happening because of your ignorance. Okay. 76. Okay. Suppose you then ask, who owns a fruit if there are no sentient beings? Well, fair enough, but this is accepted on the level of imputation by ignorance. For the sake of result, okay, the same. If who owns the fruit if there are no sentient beings? Okay, say that if there are no sentient beings, if the sentient beings don't exist objectively, so again these questions asked by the advocates of objective existence. If the sentient beings don't exist objectively, then sentient beings should not exist. If they don't exist, then you strive to help the beings. You practice compassion so that the beings can reap the result, the benefit. And who will get the benefit? Who owns a fruit? Who gets a benefit if there are no sentient beings? Then the response, well, fair enough, but this is accepted on the level of imputation. Again, the same thing. If the sentient beings reaping the benefit of your compassion, reaping the result of your compassion, this is also not objectively, is also subjectively. In other words, in subjectivity, the cause and effect follow very efficaciously. They do exist. They don't exist objectively. This distinction we should be able to make. Okay. And of course, should you have questions, I'll be very happy, because this it should not be like a linear teaching. It should be like a question answer, interactive the thing, where you have questions, where you feel uneasy. In fact, when I was studying emptiness myself as a student, lots of questions were there, and I would always bother my teachers by going to them, and they ask these questions. And in fact, this is how we should proceed. We learn something and then try to see if you can digest what you've learned. And in the process of digesting, there are more questions which can potentially come, and make sure that you ask these questions. Okay. And oftentimes, as Tenzin Dromala, the Tibetan Supreme Court, and she announced Nalanda diploma course. Particularly, I'm very impressed by this batch number 3. Because batch number 3, there are many from Nalanda Master's course. There are some of them also taking part in this, and also from Nalanda diploma course batch 1 and batch 2. There are many of them also taking part in this Nalanda batch 3. which means that there are many of these seniors. The questions coming up from the beginners who are really new to this concept, emptiness, or all these concepts which we are studying in the diploma course, and they come with the questions. And in the earlier two batches, they come with the questions, and somebody new again gives answer, and the answers also are very shallow, and the person not happy is like this, and then end up in some conflicts. This year is very good. Newcomers, they ask questions, and the senior students, they respond, and the responses that they give, this is very, very good. I'm so impressed. I'm constantly keeping an eye on those responses given by the senior students. I'm very happy with those answers. So what I'm saying is that of course, if you are interested, you can join another diploma course, because the reason why we extended this enrollment, the deadline, was for the reason that already we had about more than 1,000 applicants for the batch 3. Now that the diploma course batch 3, more than 1,000 the enrollments or the applicants. From these, we were segregating, or we are looking for those who are able to complete the procedure, enrollment procedure well. We have more than about 700, almost 800 of them who completed all the procedures for the applications. And so we see that even now there are more people joining, and there's no reason why we have to stop somebody from the desiring to learn about compassion, desiring to learn about the interdependency of the sentient beings, interdependence of the world. So if you just say, okay, now deadline is over, please wait for next year. I don't think that's this is this is not really good. We have to encourage people, who wants to learn about compassion, who wants to learn about the wisdom. We should encourage them, not to dissuade them. So therefore, seeing that there are more people still coming, we extended the deadline. So the deadline is, I think, till 15th of September. So, and as I said earlier, there are, the seniors, many seniors from Nana Master's course who already are studying all these technical studies, textual studies with me for the last more than 4 years. They're also joining. Some of them are joining, and now the diploma course, we see that from batch 1, batch 2 joining, and the newcomers, they're very fortunate that there are many of them who are giving very, very meaningful responses to the questions coming from the juniors. Okay, so what I'm saying is that if you are interested about particularly with the emptiness and so forth, and there are these seniors who can give you good answers, and of course I'm always there. I'm keeping watch, keeping an eye, and if the answer is not too satisfactory and the question is so good, then I can bring this up in the class that everybody can benefit out of your question. Okay. 76 now. Suppose you then ask, who owns a fruit if there are no sentient beings? Again, the same thing. The advocates of the objective existence, for them, no objective sentient beings means no sentient beings. If no sentient beings, then who reap the benefit of your compassion? Who owns a fruit if there are no sentient beings? Well, fair enough, but this is accepted on the level of imputation. Again, the sentient beings do exist, not as objectively, but as subjectively. Subjectively meaning through mental imputation. For the sake of the result, in order to completely pacify suffering, do not abandon those aspects of the path which have an element of ignorance. Okay, so in fact, let's say that this is very important. I'm going to just give a clue, and some of you who are already exposed to the study of emptiness before, you can take this clue and try to integrate with your earlier learnings. Let's say that I am a schizophrenia patient. I am a schizophrenic, let's say. And I'm sure most of you know what schizophrenia is. Schizophrenia, that's the person has tremendous fear, acute fear because the person's hearing all the nasty things and visually very scary things happening, tigers jumping here or there, and the sound, audio, you can hear, people talking about
I will kill you. This is what the person is suffering terribly days and nights. This is what is happening. So there's nobody saying, I'm going to kill you, but the person can hear this. And person can see, tigers jumping here and there, and very nasty people coming with a knife, with a gun, and so forth. So this is known as schizophrenia. Okay. Let's say that I'm schizophrenic. I'm suffering from schizophrenia, and you are the doctor. You are the doctor, and you know me, so you know that. Okay, so he is schizophrenic. Okay, I said, oh look, I'm hearing this sound. Actually, what here was a real sound is the sound of the ambulance. But I hear this as like the ambulance sound saying that I'm going to kill you. Oh, now look, this is what I'm hearing. Okay, the person has come to kill me. Look, this sound, this voice, kill me. And the doctor, okay, look. The doctor will say, okay, you are schizophrenic. Why does the doctor classify that as a schizophrenic? Because I'm hearing something. What is that thing which I heard? The sound that I'm going to kill you. This is what I'm hearing. And is this sound really outside the air? Is somebody saying that I'm going to kill you? Nobody's saying this. But I am creating it. My mind is projecting it. Because of this projection, and the doctor knows that my mind is projecting it. What makes my mind to project this? Out of my illness. My illness is a factor which makes me to project the sound, project the voice, which says that I'm going to kill you. Okay. So this projection of the voice is not a real voice, it's the inner voice. Projection of the inner voice, does it exist or not? My question to you. Okay, the projection, I'm not saying the voice, actual voice, I'm saying the projection of the inner voice. Is it existent or non-existent? Okay, raise hands who will say yes, raise hands. Yes, the projection of the inner voice is not the real voice. It's not the real voice, but it is the inner voice. It's the inner voice. And the inner voice, and the daughter knows that there's the inner voice happening now. There's the inner voice happening now, and this inner voice, they comes into existence by what? Because of the illness. Because of the illness. So this object, this is what we see as a flower. Actually, it's a bunch of atoms. How many agree with me? None of the atoms is a flower. And yet, we see a flower there. You see, how many are seeing this is a flower? Raise hands. Okay, all of us who are seeing this is a flower, there's the illness there inside us. There's the illness. This illness inside us is making us to project this bunch of atoms to be seen as a flower. This is a disease. We're all suffering from schizophrenia. This is a disease. It's a bunch of atoms. Which atoms are flower? Okay, and interestingly, look at me. How many of you see me as the 10 years old cute boy? Nobody sees me as a 10 years old cute boy. Some may see me as like 50 years old, some may see me as 40 years old, some may see as 65 years old. In fact, when I was in my 40s, a dentist asked me, how old are you? Then I said, guess. Then he said, no, tell me. Then I said, I'm 70 years old. I was in 40s actually. Then I told him, I'm 70 years old. Then he said, no, you're not 70. Then I said, guess, you tell me. He said, you look like 65. Okay, if somebody tells you, say you are in your 20s and somebody says you are 45, what is your reaction? How nasty, right? Okay, so he said that, oh, you look like 65. Okay, he said that he is 67. He made me 2 years younger. Even that maybe it is his compassion, right? He may saw me as his age. I was just in my 40s. Okay, so what I'm saying is that you see me as a 50 years old person. And if there is, you know, say let's say the IT boy here, I would not say boy, IT staff. Okay, IT staff here, Chetanla. Chetan, he is in his 20s. Let's say he's 20. And he and me, two of us, if we sit together, you will see that, oh, this is an old man. This is a young boy. You can see the difference. But believe it or not, do you agree with me that both of us, we are made of atoms? How many agree with me? Raise hands. Very good. The body is made of atoms. And atom-wise, the atoms which made this young boy, young gentleman, the atoms which made this young gentleman, and the atoms this made this the old man, these atoms, there's no difference in age. They're both as old as 15 billion years. How many agree with me? Raise hands. Atom-wise, there's no atom. His atom and my atom, they are the age-wise is same. It's not that my atoms are older and his atoms are younger. Atoms are same. But somehow, atoms are put together, and then our ignorance makes a projection of an old person, and then makes a projection of a young boy. And this projection works so well. Yes. See, if both of us were to be equally healthy, then for sure I will die before him. For sure. That's for sure. That's for sure. So with this projection, things still operate in a very efficacious, oh, he's old, he's young, it perfectly works well. But if you subject to ultimate analysis, there's nothing to say that I'm old. There's nothing to say that he's young. We are just made of atoms, and atoms are same age. All the atoms in this universe, they are same age. So the point is that it's very funny. So our mind projects something there through hallucination, through schizophrenia. We project something there as young, old, and so forth, and it actually works as young and old. Young and old. And older ones, generally speaking, older ones leave the world first, followed by the younger ones. Younger ones will become old. The next generation, younger one will come. This is how the world operates, so efficaciously. So this is known as dream-like. This is not dream. Okay. So 76. Screen sharing. Thank you. Suppose you then ask, who owns a fruit if there are no sentient beings? Well, fair enough, but this is accepted on the level of imputation by ignorance. It's all by the projection of the mind that we project, oh, these sentient beings. We project these sentient beings reaping the result, the benefit of the kindness of somebody else. For the sake of result, in order to completely pacify suffering, do not abandon these aspects of the path which have the element of ignorance. In fact, all what we're doing, compassion and so forth, we see the sentient beings, and even that is happening because of the projection, and projection is happening because of the illness of our ignorance. Illness, this disease, like the schizophrenia, the illness, because of this, they say the disorder in your hormonal flow, then you see all these projections, the sound, hear sounds, visual, described as schizophrenia. It's because of illness. So likewise, we're all suffering from some illness. What is that illness? Self-grasping ignorance. Okay. The next, the selflessness of phenomena. Okay, now the selflessness of person is done. Next is the selflessness of phenomena. And selflessness of phenomena is explained on the basis of what is known as the Four Mindfulnesses. Selflessness of phenomena, the way and manner in which Bodhisattva Shantideva is explaining here is based on the Four Mindfulnesses. The Four Mindfulnesses. The Four Mindfulnesses are, in Sanskrit, it's not Sanskrit. In Pali, it is Satipatthana. Satipatthana. And there's a whole sutra there. Sutra by the teaching on the Four Mindfulnesses. Satipatthana Sutra. Okay, the sutra on the Four Mindfulnesses. What are the Four Mindfulnesses? Okay, the mindfulness of the body, mindfulness of the feelings, mindfulness of the mind, and mindfulness of the phenomena. 4 mindfulnesses. Mindfulness of the body, feeling, mind, phenomena. 4. And the 4 mindfulnesses, the teaching on the 4 mindfulnesses is common to the Theravada tradition and to the Mahayana tradition. It's common to both traditions. Okay, in Mahayana tradition, there's an additional aspect to the teaching on the 4 mindfulnesses. First, let me just give you a very quick overview of the teaching on the 4 mindfulnesses, which is common to Theravada and the Mahayana Buddhism. So there are the so we see the basis of the meditation, the 4 bases. On the body, feeling, mind, and phenomena. So the body we should be practicing the mindfulness of the body to be impure. The body as impure. Then we should be practicing the mindfulness of the feeling as unpleasant, feeling as of misery, feelings as of suffering. Then the third one is mindfulness, practice of mindfulness of the mind to be impermanent. Mind to be impermanent. And then finally, the practice of the mindfulness of the phenomena to be of selfless nature. Selfless nature. And this teaching of the 4 mindfulnesses, this is something common to all the Buddhist traditions, Theravada tradition, Chinese Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhism. In fact, the Chinese Buddhism and Tibetan Buddhism, they all follow the tradition of the Nalanda. In other words, the Mahayana tradition and the Theravada tradition, these two share the same teaching on the 4 mindfulnesses. Body to be impure, the feelings as of miserable, as misery, and the mind to be impermanent, and the phenomena of the nature of the selflessness. So this, if you can think about the 4 seals of Buddha's teachings, we can see a great parallel there. The 4 seals, all composite things are impermanent. So here in the 4 mindfulnesses, the mind to be impermanent. 1. Then all contaminated things are suffering nature. In the 4 seals, the second seal is all contaminated things are suffering nature. And in the teaching of the 4 mindfulnesses, the mindfulness of the feelings to be miserable or suffering, number 2. Then from the teaching of the 4 seals, the third one, everything is the nature of emptiness and selflessness. Emptiness and selflessness. So the emptiness, it has 2 sides, emptiness and selflessness. Emptiness, the first one. Emptiness relates to the body as impure. The body as impure. It's not that the body is independent. The body to be independent of the self. It is empty of being independent from the self. The body to be body not to be empty of being independent from the self. So emptiness. So impurity applies to the emptiness. Then finally the selflessness, the phenomena, the mindfulness of the phenomena to be of selfless nature. In the context of the 4 seals, everything is nature of emptiness and selflessness. So we see that the first 3 seals of the 4, the first 3 seals can be so well correlated with the practice of the 4 mindfulnesses. And for information, in Theravada Buddhism, when you speak of the 4 seals, Theravada Buddhism, you see only the first 3, not the 4th one. Whereas in the Mahayana Sutras, you'll find both. Sutras, and the sutras on the 4 seals is, there are numerous sutras. It's not just one sutra. There are numerous sutras on the 4 seals. Some, they indicate only the first 3 seals, and some, they indicate all the 4 seals. So, with the 4, in other words, what you find in the Theravada Pali tradition, what you find in the Sanskrit tradition, there's no difference. In Sanskrit tradition, there's one additional part, that is transcending sorrow is absolute peace. So with this, the benefit is that you will get a very clear picture of what is nirvana. Transcendence of sorrow is nirvana, is absolute peace. You will get a very good picture of what nirvana is after understanding the first three seals. So that is the plus point. Otherwise, the basic framework is just the same between Theravada, the Pali, the teaching that you find in Theravada tradition, and you find in the Mahayana tradition. Okay, so these are the four. Let me repeat it. The teachings of the four mindfulnesses. The mindfulness of the body to be impure, the mindfulness of the feelings to be of suffering nature, mindfulness of the mind to be impermanent, and mindfulness of the phenomena to be of selfless nature. And for information, it may be very interesting for you and also extremely precious for us to know the correlation among these four. Let's say that, okay, they raise hands, those who like cheesecakes. Raise hands. Okay, Liorala, like. Agila. Okay, just raise hands, all those who love cheesecakes. Okay, Shahala, no. No, okay. Okay, so let's say that we all love cheesecakes, right? What happens with the COVID lockdown? You don't get to eat cheesecake for the last almost like 2 years, 1.5 years, no cheesecake. And then today I'm talking about cheesecake and your mouth waters. Okay, with a mere thought of the cheesecake, it makes your mouth waters. Next, somebody brings a cheesecake to you. Wow, what a surprise, what a pleasant surprise. Which means that the feeling of, say, the craving is increasing within you, the cheesecake. And the person said, okay, this cheesecake is expired, date expired. This cheesecake was from the 2 weeks ago. Oh no, it's a cheesecake. Now you know that this is not good. The taste is not good. It's not healthy, right? So you are actually not attached to the cheesecake. You are attached to the taste of the cheesecake, freshness of the cheesecake. And then say cheesecake is made of cheese. It's very fatty. And you say suddenly you are suffering from the jointus. You have a nausea over the smell of the fat, smell of the oil, smell of the cheese. Sometimes it happens. You start to throw up. And then now today somebody brings a very fresh cheesecake. Oh, I'm very sorry, last time I brought the old one. Now this is a fresh one. And you say, please don't bring it. Please don't bring it. Please, 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 give it away. Okay, now you are not attached to the cheesecake. You are not attached, now you are not even attached to the taste of the cheesecake. Because the taste of the cheesecake today is very fresh, it's so good, but you are pushing it. Please stay away. Even just the smell of it simply makes you throw up. Okay. Which means that, why today you are pushing the cheesecake away? Because the cheesecake, you can see the prospect that the cheesecake come in contact with your, say, the mouth, the unpleasant feeling will come to you. Which means that you are not even attached to the taste of the cheesecake, you are attached to the pleasant feeling inside. How many agree with me now? Very good. And what feels this pleasant feeling? It's your mind. Look, from the cheesecake, it moves to the feelings. The feelings, it moves to the mind. The body as impure. Then the feelings as unpleasant. And then the mind as impermanent. You look, connection. The body, attachment to the body. The cheesecake is a physical body. Then attachment to feeling. And then to the mind. Who feels this pleasant feeling? My mind. Whose mind? My mind. So move from the body to the feeling, to the mind, to the self. So look, there's a transition there. So finally, it is that we have the, say, the attachment to the self. That is what triggered all these chain. Attachment to self, to the mind, which feels the pleasant feeling derived from the physical bodies, physical objects. Okay, this is how the whole emotions arise. So the practice of the four mindfulnesses is extremely precious. Four mindfulnesses. So the Bodhisattva Shantideva is going explains the surface phenomena on the basis of the four mindfulnesses. Okay, we'll stop here and we'll come back in 1 hour.
Thank you very, very much, and see you guys in an hour.